Hey guys, this is Russell Holly with Geek.com, and we're going to take a quick look at an interesting conversation happening right now regarding the Moto X, specifically whether or not the features are all that special. There's a lot of talk that the Moto X features can be recreated using software, and that there's a series of apps in the Google Play Store that can recreate this experience on pretty much any phone. So we're going to take a look at those applications, we're going to run them on a phone, and we're going to see just how they stand up next to the Moto X in terms of performance. So we've got our HTC One Google Play Edition here, and we're going to start off by trying to replicate the Touchless Control on the HTC One using an app called Open Mic Plus. Now this is an app that's already running on the HTC One, and what we're going to do here is set it so that we can say, "OK Google Now," and have the app launch. Now you saw OK Google Now had launched immediately on the Moto X. On the HTC One, it took a second longer. We tried again with OK Google Now, and the Moto X grabs it right away, and the HTC One didn't that time. So it's kind of hit or miss in our trial with it. We really couldn't get it to work every single time, and it only really works when the screen is on. Now, there are extra settings that are listed, detailed as beta and as experimental, that can have them run in the background, but it's really just not something that even the developer is ready to rely on full time yet, and it's kind of a battery hog to boot. Now let's take a look at Shake to Wake the Camera. This is something that we can recreate pretty easily using Tasker. You go in and create a shake left to right motion to launch the camera, and as long as it's on, it'll do it anytime the screen is on, and it works pretty much as advertised. You shake it from left to right, and it'll launch the camera app. Now with the Moto X, it requires a pretty specific kind of twisting motion, almost like you're twisting a screwdriver in order to get that camera to launch. But as long as you've got that motion, it works pretty reliably. And using this, you don't have to worry about, kind of accidentally waking it when it's in your pocket or anything like that. It usually works reasonably well. But again, only when the screen is on will you get that wake. So it's easily just as accurate. In most cases, you really kind of have to tweak the sensitivity in order to get it to work just right. This took probably an hour of tweaking the motion sensor sensitivity, but when the screen is off, it just doesn't work at all. And when the screen is on, it does exactly what it's supposed to and shakes to wake. So if you've got the hour to spend and you want to go ahead and set it up in Tasker, and this is a feature that you think is cool, even though it's not exactly the same as the feature that you have on the Moto X, you can technically recreate most of this feature using a Tasker profile. Last but certainly not least is active notifications. This is a big thing that Motorola was touting, and you can recreate it using an app called Dynamic Notifications. You need a specific kind of screen in order for it to do the slow pulsing, slow breathing. Otherwise you get this kind of very bright, always on, like we see on the HTC One here because of its LCD display. But it doesn't really do the motion wake up quite as well as the Moto X does. And it does work. It does receive the notifications pretty much as advertised. And in some cases, we'll even get a notification before the Moto X does. But if you take a look at the true way that this feature is supposed to work, where it slowly breathes and pulses to tell you what's going on, these are two phones set up exactly the same way. The Moto X has it, the HTC One with Dynamic doesn't. The cool thing about Android is that there's always going to be apps out there to try and recreate these features, so don't give up, guys, but for right now, the Moto X is the way to go. Thanks for watching.